Hello there, welcome back to another review. So let's carry on with the American Ninja movie, shall we? Today we're going to be looking at American Ninja 2, The Confrontation, made back in 1987 and again directed by Sam Firstenberg, with Michael Dudikoff and Steve James returning for good measure too. Now, I don't think the film done as well as the first when originally released, but I think just like the first movie, it sort of developed a bit of a cult following over the years. Now, you know what to expect when it comes to these movies. As I said in my review for the previous one, you get tough macho 80s action complete with ninjas, throwing stars, explosions, cheesy story, hammy dialogue, and to that end American Ninja 2 is just simply business as usual. But that is all the fun with them, like that is what's part of the fun with these movies like this and from this time. They are so bad, they're awesome, you know, they're so bad, they're good. It's what always makes these kind of movies watchable. And in a way, you know, it's a style of filmmaking, especially action movie making, that seems to be a bit of a bygone era. Now, these kind of movies, if you were 10 years old or so at the time when these are the kind of movies you would absolutely lap up. If you had, like, if you was into G.I. Joe as a kid and sort of watched the A-Team religiously, then these movies would be right up your alley. These films are not meant to be a masterclass in filmmaking and cinema, but kids love ninjas, everybody loves ninjas, you know, of course, like, they thought they had a recipe for success. It does make me laugh how the film is called The Confrontation, like there's just, like it's just one big single confrontation, but there are a multitude of confrontations in this movie. Michael Dudikoff is still doing his old modern, you know, his chip on the shoulder sort of silent hero type, and it's really Steve James who gets to shine through more here in this movie. The film has a much brighter look and feel to it, thanks to the advantage of the sort of exotic, like, Caribbean locations used. Now, many have said the plot is absolutely ludicrous, with our villain sort of growing ninjas. Yep, that is basically what he's doing, and yes, the plot is ludicrous. It's beyond absurd, but if you are like me, I don't care about that. In a way, you know, more bonkers and out there the plot is, the more I'm going to enjoy it. Now, if you didn't have enough of, like in the first movie, to scratch your ninja itch, this film will more than make up for it, as there are a ton of ninjas in this movie. Like, this film does, if you didn't think there was enough ninjas in the first movie, there are absolutely loads in this one. Why do our villains use ninjas instead of using like army or guys with guns or mercenaries? Because ninjas are just cool, that's why. Michael Dudikoff and Steve James did appear in other American Ninja movies. Steve was in the third, Michael was in the fourth, but unfortunately they never did appear on screen together again. So you could even argue out of 5 movies, this is sort of the last genuine one. So let's dive into some more 80s cheese and see what's happening with American Ninja 2. So nothing starts a B-grade 80s action movie more so than loads of trucks and motorbikes driving along to some kick-ass guitar and 80s grooves. No sooner do these guys pull into a bar and a fight breaks out, no idea even who these guys are at this point. Learn they are like Marines and they have been led there by this guy who hides, like, he sort of hides as it all like sort of kicking off. Suddenly the bar is empty and some ninjas come out to carry these bodies away. Anyway, lo and behold, someone saw what was happening, like who is hiding behind sort of a pinball machine. This kid called Toto. We meet Armstrong and Jackson. Again, they get off a plane and are picked up by Charlie and Tommy being one of the guys who sort of from the bar earlier, who led these guys there, who was sort of hiding. Anyway, they meet their boss who wanted Marines, but they are Rangers. Seems there's never a good form of communications in these movies. We learn on the island the Marines are like embassy guards and some have gone missing basically, so these Marines have basically just been disappearing. I love how they get told about these men in black suits and Jackson is like, sounds familiar, doesn't it? Just because they're wearing black suits doesn't mean they have to be ninjas. This guy just has ninjas on the brain. It's all serious stuff. So what do? Well, they go for a boat ride, of course, with Charlie and Tommy, and for some reason they all fall asleep. I'm not sure exactly how long they've been on this speedboat, but yeah, they all fall asleep. Tommy sabotages the boat, the guys go for a swim, Armstrong finds the cable he disconnected, and then, yep, you guessed it, some ninjas come out. And say what you will about the movie, but it does look great, and it must have been a nice few weeks for the cast here, filming in the Caribbean on these exotic locations. I do like the real inventive way the ninjas get up this rock face by sort of climbing on each other. As for the action, well, I won't bash it, it's American 80s cheese, so what do you expect? Jackson goes to look for Joe and have to love how he's not in the least bit surprised when some ninjas come out. To be honest, Steve James' fight scenes actually pop and shine more than what Dudikoff's do. You actually do get quite a lengthy fight scene here as well, so they get picked up. and love how Wild Bill, like sort of their captain, doesn't believe their story. Joe and Jackson ask for a few more days and he's like, okay, you got 1 week. But he doesn't like it. Even though they only ask for a few days, he's like, alright, I'll give you a week. So Tommy takes a call from this mysterious guy and is like they fight like professionals and I want them dead. And he arranges for him to sort of set them up at the bar. So Joe goes to the bar and he has to take out some goons, which he goes by sort of just throwing them around a bit. He asks for Tommy and then a fight begins all over again, and look out for a flying kick he does over a balcony, which you can clearly see was somebody else doing it. Tommy tells him about the lion who owns Blackbeard Island and like sort of has his wife. Tommy says he hears someone and goes right to the window and gets pierced by like the world's largest spear, which is quite an unintentionally funny death scene. Weird as well that Wild Bill is like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but Tommy is dead. Armstrong was right there. He was there. He knows already. So at this party, Leo Burt, the lion, turns up, and this woman goes berserk on him, calling him a drug dealer, and our Marines give chase as sort of he is being driven away. We now go back to this bar for the third time, right? We go back to this bar for the third time now. And whilst this fight scene is happening, we have this light-hearted sort of calypso music playing as well for good measure. People actually seem as well to stay in the bar this time too. Unlike the start of the movie where they just seem to bail, I guess they've just got used to seeing a punch-up in their local tavern every 5 minutes. Again, Steve James really does seem to be like having a good time and blasting this movie, so they kick their ass and decide to sort of run away and drive off without the girl, might add, who has sort of run off too. Tojo, played by Mike Stone, who is sort of the Lion's main tough guy, is like that damn American ninja. He fights like a tiger. And I always remember this guy he was on a Bruce Lee documentary I used to have on VHS back in the day. It was sort of, it was a semi sort of Bruce Lee documentary, but it was sort of getting into the more philosophical side of martial arts, and it's called The Warrior Within. I'm not sure any of you out there have ever seen that documentary. So Armstrong goes off to track down the girl with this kid Toto. So there's Toto. Anyway, so he goes to find the girl with this kid. So no sooner does he knock on a door and gets a shotgun in the face and then attacked by ninjas, complete with ninja stars and blow darts. So Toto, the girl, and Joe drive off, and she reveals her name is Alicia Sanborn. Now I will be fair, the ninjas don't give up in this movie. One tries to jump on the car, another stands in front of it, another uses like a grapple hook to latch onto it, and don't ask me how this guy makes it onto the bonnet. And they really should have given our three in the vehicle some dialogue here too, to bring us into the scene more, rather than just loads of reactions and close-ups. So Joe drives this thing into a building which is surrounded by gas cans, and only like this explosion overkill for just one guy. But what is this building? How on earth did he know anyone was not inside? I have no idea. So Joe tells Toto to go and tell Jackson he is going to Blackbeard Island, right? Turns out, like, the girl's dad, Alicia, her dad was working on a cure for cancer, but now the Lion uses his technology to brainwash Marines to become ninjas. Yep, that is the plot of the movie. That is what I read. I mean, I've read reviews of this where people say it even has sort of Dr. No vibes, sort of with the secret laboratory and things like that. And yeah, it does have a bit of Dr. No about it too. So Joe and Alicia have like a bonding session. She's like all flirty. You wouldn't think though she'd just been chased, blown up a ninja, and her dad is working for a crime lord. You wouldn't even think that was happening or going on in her life right now. So at the Lion's evil base, we see a clan of ninjas, just what every drug dealer needs, right? Joe and Alicia make their way to the island by boat. He gets through a fence using some makeshift pair of wire cutters, and can you imagine if Jackie Chan done that? Every time like there was a fence or a gate in front of him. You know, like in Police Story, the way he sort of pivots over sort of the gate when he goes to sort of like deal with the thugs at one scene in the movie. Can you imagine if he just brought out a pair of like wire cutters or something like that to get through, rather than sort of pivoting over it like Jackie Chan does? It's like, no, I'll just bring out a pair of makeshift wire cutters. So then we get a demonstration by Tojo, who just slaughters some of his fellow ninjas in a sort of overly choreographed fight scene. So our heroes grab some ninja attire and go on a tour of the lab with Burke and her dad. Like, who the rest of these people are who are being shown around, I have no idea. So he's about to ship some heroin to the US, we find out. Right, and you need ninjas for that because, you know, whatever. So Jackson and crew now make off for the island. Joe finds the other Marines and they walk right into a trap. And like Alicia and her dad have been found by Burke. We get some sword play going on, some shooting begins. Alicia's dad somehow has some explosives and blows up the test subjects along with the Lion. You have to listen to this whooshing sound effects as well they use when Jackson brings out some butterfly knives, which is worth watching the film for alone. Seems to be any reason as well to take your top off in this movie to show your muscles. We get a lame ass fight against Tojo, all laughing and smiles at the end, and Joe gives Toto a Swiss Army knife, and thus concludes American Ninja 2. It's bad, it's hilarious, it's ridiculous, but hey, that's what we watch these movies for, right? But what about you guys? Have you seen the American Ninja movies? What is your favourite movie from the lot? I will get round to looking at the remaining films, but make sure to let me know, guys, what you thought of American Ninja 2. Do you think it's absolutely absurd, ridiculous? Are you a fan of these movies, or do you think they're just a load of nonsense? But make sure to let me know if you have seen the American Ninja movies. What is your favourite one? How did you think the sequel stacked up against the first movie? So thank you very much indeed for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you again soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.